Alrighty. Hopefully I got everything. Okay, so today I'm going to show you some basic dry brushing methods using paper towel or wood, texture palette, or crappy brush versus good brush. Or I should say just a regular makeup brush. So with the regular makeup brush and this. Alright, so I got me a bunch of orcs here. And we're just going to go ahead and continue, or start. Just regular acrylic craft paint. Put that there. I need a Tupperware container of some sort to hold water. That'll work. Just a little. Because that is something you do need to do. Firstly, what I like to do is I just get it nice and wet, then I dry it all off so it feels barely moist. Just so that all the bristles on the inside are all nice and moist for a nice little start. So you're barely feeling anything. It should be nice and cool. And many people use the whole method of the back of the brush and dropping it in there. And yes, highly recommend. I need to set myself up a little method for when I'm using a texture palette. Good enough. Journey continues. Now, I made sure this is just regular paper towels, none of the high absorb, because I wanted to replicate what I saw from early slap chop videos. In them, they're using a brush, and paper towels, and they're getting a nice little dosage, and then they're either going through, getting it down to a nice fine. However, the early slop chops were doing, after they got it on their brush, they were drying it and going a little circle until it was a nice, and yes, this right here will absorb the water out of it, leaving a lot of pigment left in there, so it'll be chalky. And then I'm just seeing how well it comes out on the palette till it gets to a nice statement. And then you just barely are touching it until you and you're gonna make mistakes. Look at that, that's a mistake, obviously. Now the nice thing about the gray is you can have more gray on it, so I could dry out some of that initial pigment to get it even less of a coat till you find a balance that works for you for your brush that you're using. Okay, it'll be harder with a makeup brush, so you've got to find, because it's a brush that's its target demographic is makeup, so it will behoove you after you get a little bit of practice. And notice how I'm just making mistakes until the mistakes become more of a meant to. And I realize I should be putting these on little paint holders. I've yet to invest in one. And they say the best thing to do, if you notice I'm moving the model as opposed to my hand, because then I know I can move this closer and I know what angle I'm getting support at. And you can stipple it to get in some of those dark twirl. There's still paint in that, hitting that, the little rascally paint up there that you still got. And get a nice little gray base on him. With cats playing in the background. It smudged his belly a little hard. Really, you're supposed to be going like in a up and down motion to think about light. And in one of those really hard to get, you twirl it around a bit. Because you'll be staring at your guy at about this much distance away. And most painted products, a fine detail. Look at that. Now I want to get more gray in there. Look at that. And now, see how the brush is slightly getting a little bit better as you're playing with it, as you gain the skill. And I'd used the paper towel method on this one. Loki, I'm over here. I swear you'd think he was blind or something. So, again, this is just a regular Dollar General makeup brush. Here, this one's from Army Painter, and medium brush for medium and smaller items, and you want to. This came in a 3-pack, and if you're doing large models, like things that are about this size, you're going to want to use a large or medium, and then just as the things progress and smaller down the sizes, like this is for these models as well, to get the smaller little things. However, you would want to use tinier model, small, medium, large miniatures. You get it. All right. So moving on to using a texture palette. Come on. Why do I allow you to torture me? Oh yeah, here's a little guy. So somebody like this, you would want to use smaller brushes on. He is searching for a place. Okay, I'm gonna defeat you before you attack. Come here, come here, come here, come here. You want up here, get up here. Stop trying to jump the wrong direction. Hi. How you doing, Loki? I'm in the middle of a video. No. You're not going that way. Come on, buddy. Thank you. Right there. I need you to cooperate with me. So, again, we get it all in there. And then you're just gonna And it helps if you have, like, you can go back with your texture palette and just respray paint over it, whatever your primer coat is for the day. This, again, I got, this right here is a dollar coaster. It comes in a 2-pack from, again, Dollar General. So you want it to get to that nice bare amount while still maintaining a bunch of paint inside the thing. That's why a lot of times they're like, get that nice heavy coat. Oops, I went too far. That's a big no-no. Until you get the amount that's going to come off, and then you can see how it's slowly making that nice little dry, and it just, I seem to get there faster when I use a dry brush, the paper towel, which logically makes sense because I'm just removing water, which is what tends to have the issues. And here you can see how the brush, since I've got more bristles and less length, which this has, I'm able to get a better definition. So this will show you how the difference between when you get those nice brushes, what it'll come out looking like. And I have all bit of nice things to say against for those good brushes. And in a second here, I will put both of these guys next to each other, and you'll see what I mean. And I want to do a quick shout out to my friends in Japan, which was my last base station. For my birthday, they sent me a few gifts, and this shirt is one of them. And if you know what this shirt means, kudos to you. And my little pin as well, and I miss them dearly. I wish I could take Japan, England, and Florida and just mush together, and just, it would be great, because those are my 3 favorite cultures. Yes, every state is a culture. Anyhow, I miss it a lot. I spent about 8 years in Japan, 4 in the north, 4 in the south, or Tokyo, mainland, both times, when I was in the military. I was part of Operation Tomodachi when I was in Misawa. Now, we've got 2 figures. This is, and this is, so I used, again, paper towel with this guy, and I used the traditional, well, the new way of thinking of texture palettes with this guy. And as you can see, they've got a lot of the same similarities in the way that they can get things accomplished. There is better detail, I will give it, of control on this brush specifically, and you just need to be aware on which one you prefer. Practice. My best advice is use paper towel in the beginning. Use just any old brush. Find, if you're really uncomfortable, piece of wood and just dry brush on it until you start understanding it a little bit better. Dry brushing is a phenomenal thing, because you could take almost anything, and I will grab this guy right here. This thing that is marketed to us is literally just a quick dry brushing. You can almost see it on there. It's just a simple dry brushing with some eyes. And you start to notice how after you prime something, the difference between these guys is substantial. So let's continue. Let's reverse these. I'm going to, with these last two, show you that this, you can just get yourself a wooden pallet. To get to your points. And I will have to say, the makeup brush method, you do have to be a little bit further away from what you're trying to brush, so you're basically lightly touching it. So it requires you to pretty much move the model more. Get some stippling in there. Stippling, I'm still trying to learn. So get his little hiney in there. And look at this. Once you start to get in that groove and you understand your brush, you're just like la 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 la. And see, the moisture that I had pre-baked this into the brush helped me a lot in the way of moisture I needed. That's why I'm like, I oversaturate before I put anything in there, and then I just drive it down and I make sure the moisture's all up in there and everything. It's just how I do things. Many other people have different ways of doing things. I'm all of a fan of keep it simple. So if a method works, tried and true, keep working on your foundation and then expand from there. What are you doing? Sylvie, you're talkative today. Yeah? Okay. And then again, we will do this one with the opposing or the original format of using paper towel. So yeah, it's got a nice little, took me a while to figure out how far I needed to, oops, I am going too rough. See, that happens. You get too excited. There we go. And you could fix these mistakes. I'm here to show you a method as opposed to show you, I'm just making all sorts of mistakes today. Or in this right here. There we go. Ah, that's a little better. And this is where I have to agree. In either method, getting a texture palette still helps you curve things out better. And the nice thing about the gray is you can make more mistake with it than when you put the white layer on. I like this gray. Alrighty. So that right there is just putting the gray on. Now that I've shown that you can do it with either direction, with either brush, I'm going to keep sticking to my little army brush, only for the simple fact that I feel like I've graduated from this guy, and I want you guys to realize that you could start out simple, get your practice in, and you'll see very little difference between what you're doing. And you can pretty much leave them like this. I mean, it looks really good before even going to the white or anything like that. If you have an army that you're trying to paint, getting them all primed, and then coming back and just doing the gray dry brushing is what you want to do. Because now I have to let this dry a little bit. Whoops. And I will see you in a minute, as soon as I find my pause. Alright, and we're back. So I'm going to just stick with this brush, and we're going to work on using white paint to do some edging. Something to note, as you can see, my little busted guy right here, he fell on the floor during the recording. There was that little plastic breaking sound. Something I wanted to talk about, many people know what your glue is useful for. That's sometimes even though it works, it may be the worst thing for it. Cement glue will melt plastics together to give a very hard seal glue, and it will make it more resilient. That is a given. I've had a few that fell and smashed after using cement glue or plastic glues, and plastic broke with it. It was a little bit. It was just something I wanted to talk about. That it's a problem in this community. You're putting little pieces of plastic together. Oh crap! Fell off this. Stay there. Yeah. I use more super glue than I do the cement glues, because kind of had that fear, because the first thing I used was cement glue. It fell and pieces of plastic broke with it. And now that I know it's just the way the plastic fell, it had a stigmata for me wanting to use more cement glue, because it was just a rare case. Just know what your plastic that you're dealing with, and know what super glue is very useful. Hot glue gunning is useful as well. All three methods, and there's many more glues out there for situational, are going to be helpful in this hobby, or any hobby really, because if you use wood glue and it's on a PVC pipe, I'm sure you're going to go very far. So every hobbyist could just sometimes go back and say, am I using the correct glue on the right material to make sure that things stay together? You might need a few different glues for different situations. If you're trying to add wood to plastic to metal in a combination, hot glue will get you so far. Maybe maybe do a little research and get yourself ahead of that game. Love popping these little things. I should have showed you all. Anyways, moving on. We've got business. I've got to push this video out. I have a little paint vibrating thing back there. Oh, you should be out of was putting stuff down. There we go. Alrighty. So here I'm going to use this because I've got gray on it, and then I can see the gray. Actually, scratch that. Right here, I have gray. Now, what I like to do is I have 3 of these, and then I could cycle through things. So I could have my gray palette, and then I'm doing a little bit of gray here, then I'm doing white here. So you can have, you just have a bigger palette. Why am I saying that? So let's go ahead and get some white out. Oh, look at that, it just went all over the place. Very little is necessary. And now that this is on here and dry, I can use the white to see how it's going to come out on there. And I've watched a few different people and their methods on brushes. One person that I thoroughly enjoyed watching, I'm leaving names out for the time being. In the future, I plan to call out some folks. I will put some script names down because there are some out there I want to recognize that have given me a lot of information, and I want to give credit where credit's due. At the moment, I failed to write that list down because I'm trying to power through this video because my day 4 video got shot to crap, and now I'm reshooting technically day 6 as day 4's. So frustration happens. When I went to go upload it, it was corrupted, and the videos, the worst case scenario for a lot of it. Alright, so here we want to make sure to thin it out really good because we want that white. Look at that. There we go. To just barely be on that brush. So if you brush on it, and that's why people do this number, and they're like, oh look, there's the skin. Sadly, I have a lot of extra fur, and that's going to be problematic. Maybe I should do like those swimmers and shave my head. And then people are like, do you shave like this? Yes, because I'm a painter. Let's see. So I'm just barely touching this to bring out those highlights. With the white, and it may look like you're barely doing anything, and that's good. You're just brushing that gray, and we could probably stand for a little bit more white. Oh, it's paint. Then we get a nice little, see, that's bringing out that boot right there. really bringing out those bags right there. I should put a little counter down on how many things I've painted to show progress. Let's see. Now with a little bit of look at that. Now that mistake starts to be less of a mistake because I got that white shining through. Shining through. I wanted to do my little complaint about the industry and how people are barking at the wrong part of the problem, and because I have to go back and do my video, and you see, you could see this nice little stark contrast difference. This is just gray, and then this is the white, and then we just start doing little bits of white on there. And it starts to smooth out, and now it was a blur, and just a little bit of white just made that gray fade into the background. I tried a model in reverse. It looked really interesting, where I used white primer. It was my friend's model. I was like, can I borrow that for a second? And he let me use his Chaos Marine, and he took it home. And I went from white to gray to black highlights, and it came out it was different. I would love to see more reverse videos from more of my better talented painters out there. I need to learn more about highlights, and look at that guy. He's just coming together. He just needed a little bit of oomph. Look at that. Really brings it out. Look at that. All shades, black, whites, grays, all put into there. It really stands out the figure, and makes it really pop and shine. And that was intentional. You can read between the lines. Everything comes together when you work together. Everything is Ugh. See that movie way too many times. Yeah, I have children, however, I was watching it because I wanted to watch it, and they were nowhere to be found when I watched it. I've seen the sequel as well. So a little bit of smudging there. So accidents happen. There's a little bit of overshading there. It's fine. However, you can also use it to your advantage. I mean, I could just brighten this side of the arm up a little bit more. See that? And look at that. Look at that. Yeah, at the top of it. And now it'll look like the sun is beating right here onto him. And when you go to put the colors on him. So I hope people were watching my other episode and about breathings and knots and butts. If only I could stress it more and re-engineer your sentence structures. I'm gonna the people of the podcast for Poorhammer, Eric, you got to stop saying "but" so much. You cut over your buddy there, and whenever you say "but," and it erases everything he says, and you guys go back and forth on your I hope you guys see this video someday, and stop using the word. Use "and." Try it. Remove that word. The only people who need to use that are people who need to stop fights and control situations. If you want people to remember what you're saying, you have to remove it, because everything you say prior, and I'll give you an example of that. You're an asshole, but I like you. You tend to forget what happened to prior, and yeah, it's cool. You have a feel-good moment internally that you got to say what you said. It's passive-aggressive, technically. And you've removed it from the equation. If you go, you're an asshole and I like you, now you've given definition and volume and meaning to what you're saying. So that's all I'm going to touch on that. Butts are something you sit on. Oh, that old adult. No ifs, ands, or buts. It really does propagate problems in, when talking to people, and that's why I would thoroughly encourage to remove all knots from your diet, and I'll get into that each because they come from different books and different reasons. Just a slight example is when I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it talked about the difference minding of two highly successful people and how they thought. They realized that can't will hold you back and give you an excuse, and they discuss it in great lengths in that book. And then when I was over dealing with my PTSD mental therapy sessions, they talked about shouldn't and how it builds anxiety. And this list grows from there. Everywhere I turned, every single time, every knot just made it harder. So I've removed all contractions, and I've been enjoying the it gets back to my last, technically, since this is, I'm going to label this as day 4, even though this is technically day 6, my day 5 video. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Just keep things simple. Work on your foundations. The biggest problem we have today is we are losing foundations constantly. All right. Where are we at? We have, and I'm very prone to repeating myself. You might hear the same things again and 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 again. So, maybe I should use this, oh God, I just realized that's up here. I hope that, I'm going to look at all the video. Completely forgot to move that light. So it was like out of the camera. Silly me. Lighting's for experts. I hope that's out of the camera. Well, I will learn. Good. Let's hope that camera works out. We are going to go straight in and use some paint to show you how this comes out in just a moment. And again, here's my little brush. And I do have upgrade brushes, yes. It's still nice and neatly unused. I do have some of my older cheap brushes too. And you want to keep some of your older brushes around. So, using my little silicone ghost, putting my little drop in there. Boop, boop. Make a little sound effects. Beep. I had a friend tell me to use a lighter green whenever you go to after this dries. Now I will say, when you get away from dry brushing, that's when the paper towel is only good for drying your water off at best, or cleaning your stuff. Go back to go and use a wet palettes and whatever texture palettes at that point. I just wanted to point out that I must have thrown it away. Okay. You can see all that ink just pull up inside of that. Did you see that? And then, as he's drying, or he should be drying up, we can just paint some of his skin on there. You can see how the undercoat brings forward all of the work. All I did was paint one color green onto him, and you could see how it just took that light and made it shine through. And you can really see, and you could come back and repaint this a different color, and just blur the colors together. So you're gonna have mistakes, especially using a brush like this. You're starting out learning brush control, and now that that is like, again, I wanted to show you that you can use bigger brushes. Now we're going to get into, and you'll see that long guy right there. We can get rid of that guy. Okay. Let's see. Where'd it go? There we go. People use razors and all sorts of things. I need to probably lower this. There we go. Water. It's a brand new brush. It's a hard knock life. Get that nice little wetness in there. And then I'm just spinning in circles. Bloop. And then we just, look at that, just like an ink. It just soaked it all up. And we'll use a different model just to show difference. Let's get, where'd that guy? Ah, yeah, we'll do this guy right here with his arm. So we can show you that. Well, this is a good brush. Very nice. Might help if I actually look at it then. Now I am quite a distance away from where I'm painting. You could be like this and paint. The thing I've realized that if I'm that close, I spend way it makes me frustrate over my mistakes more. So painting it a little bit more away helps me build my painting confidence, because being that articulate in detail is my goal once I become more skilled. And if I keep beating myself up, I will have issues getting that skill, because I'll just like, look at what shit job I have. And your perfectionisms will get the better of you, and they will get in the way of you doing anything. Sometimes you enact that perfectionism afterwards to stabilize, I think. I should give a health tip. So, I talked about breathing last time. Food is a very lengthy subject. How about we discuss about how you could do simple exercises that are high impact? When you wake up in the morning, I want you to do a plank. I want you to do a plank until you are able to do a plank for a whole minute. And then every morning you wake up and you do that plank. The minute you feel like it's become too easy, start tightening the buttocks muscles, start tightening the abs until you've gotten to the point where every muscle is tight like a tiger. And then go from there. You will see a drastic change in a very short amount of time on your stance, your structure, your postures, and your health. And doing it right after you wake up means that you're at a low calorie intake and you can get some exercise in less than a minute, and then power through your day. Give it a try. Come back to me in 4 weeks. Okay. See that? All that, you can see that messed up, and now it's become part of it. I was going to say something. Alright, so you could come back if you did a darker green. And put a lighter green on there. However, you could see that nice color coming through. especially on this guy. So this guy had all that extra little recess of dark and white, and then this one over here was pretty normal in our dry brushing. And you just come through, and you could just one day do the any of the skin that you see. This guy will have a darker face, comparative. And here's the lovely thing. I'm sure when I look through these videos, I'm going to see parts that I've missed. Because when the paint dries and you look back at it, you're going to be all aggravated as well. That's what a second coat is for. No matter how many times you hear one coat paint can get you only so far. You're going to find, why am I scooping up the last of this? I could just put more paint in there. You're going to find that you're at times going to want to come back after you looked at your model and put more paint on it. That's fine. What I like to do, because I'm an orc player and I like the whole idea of the Prophet of Wog, is the paint it when it earns a name. Get your army, get them at least primed. If you want, put a base on it, and when you come home, put gray on it. Then play with your models again, then come back, put white on it, and do your dry brushing with your army, and then come back and color only their skin. Maybe you'll have time to do more. Maybe you just want to slowly keep enjoying the process. The world is your oyster when it comes to that. I believe I was using this color. Give a preview of some of the things that were bothering me about the naysayers of Games Workshop's point cost per value. That frustrates me. The price of plastic is the thing that frustrates me in the way of why I fail to see how. I'll just save it for the next video. I'm trying to learn. Let's see. Yeah, see? Now you get to see a full scale of this while I'm working with this video camera. like I said, I am still new, and I know that. I just want to see more people enjoying this hobby. And that is why I want to push out nub videos where I'm just making mistakes. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. Got some of those missed spots. And we got the last guy. And these is all just the Army speed paint with an Army brush. And I see I'm doing a big bang up job here. Probably staring at nothing. I need to get a professional person to set up my cameras or something. There we go. His ear. He's got a little bit of skin showing there. There. Oh, and he's got it back. And yes, it looks like the green is just barely doing anything. That's fine. Because now that little bit of white that touched his ear right here really brings out, and then he has skin that's darker and shaded in the recesses, and that is how light does the lights. So here's where I'm going to stop for today on my little commandos. I have a thought pattern, and I know I see that I missed that. I have a little thought pattern that came from this guy. I've came up with a name for him. He's going to be Mr. Pink, and if you know what I'm referencing, you've already realized the direction I'm going to go with each of these guys' shirts for the commandos. So shout out to Reservoir Dogs for those that are remembering of that movie. And see, I could just move that paint around. There we go. I can just move this paint around. Anybody out there who does painting videos has a setup that they can help me with, I would really appreciate that. Like what camera you use, what angles you use, what tripod you're using, or just take a picture of it or something. Please email me. Then I can give you a shout out and a shoot back to your channel. And tell me what shit job I'm doing too. So with this, I love, again, the Citadel thing, pot. So in here, you want to use the edge of this. Oops, let me do that side. And you could just, this is you cleaning your brush. Get a little bit of water. You're not going down there getting all the water. You're just, because then it'll go up into it. And I know that I've made a slight mistake here with this brush. Just soaks up all the paint in my palette. And you can just twirl and use the little thing. And then what I like to do is I'll just paint my brush clean. And once I get a majority of it out, I'll grab my paint cleaner and a little bit of water and just grabbing some of the soap, and I'll just use it on my palette, really. I mean, or a paper towel or something, and I'll just like do just in circles. And a little bit of twirling. And the reason why you want to do circles is more or less to keep that nice tip. I can see I'm a little bit rough, and I'm learning. And then you could just come over to get the nice little edge. Bam. Nice clean brush. They say you should keep your little caps to put them in it. And I have a little thingy here where I hold them sideways because I thoroughly like that idea. And I think we will stop there. I think I've rambled on long enough. I hope that you've learned something today. I know I have. And yeah, I'm finishing up my little thing. Will the video ever end? Ah. Stay, Mr. Pink. There it is. All right, coffee nuts out.